It is time for Morning Dose, and those stories you'll be talking about all morning long. Social media trying to crack the case of who wrote this scathing New York Times op-ed about the president, keeping him up late last night tweeting. Plus, one woman is on the quest for the ultimate backside. Oh, ma'am. She is willing to go to some extreme lengths to get it. We have that story and more. Morning Dose starts right now.
Welcome to Morning Dose.
And it is Thursday, September 6th. I call it Friday Eve. Thanks for choosing Morning Dose. I'm Layla Muhammad.
Hey, good to see you. I'm Jenny and Shonda. Welcome to Morning Dose, the show that sets you up for a day of great conversation.
And hopefully when you start your day with us, you can carry that discussion through the rest of your day. Honey, the quest for the ultimate backside. Y'all saw that video?
Talk about conversation starter.
Yeah.
So she has lofty goals.
Oh, that's a nice way to say it.
She's already close to setting a record, and I think she's going to set the record with this next one.
You know, so this will bring up a bigger discussion when we get to this story, because I want to weigh in on sort of like a documentary I watched recently that Lala Anthony, actress and ex-wife or wife, current wife of Carmelo Anthony produced, and it talks about some of the lengths women went through to get butt injections and how it can lead to things like death. You know,
that happened in Dallas, Texas. That happened.
Happened in many places.
Many places, yes. But I mean, it's bad. I actually sat in on a what they call mommy makeover for a story years ago when this first came out, where they do upper, lower body, everything in between. And when you see the process, it makes you much less likely to want to go through with it.
Or the results that aren't too,
I mean, they
flattering.
are harvesting fat from your body.
Yeah.
And they are putting it back in.
Well, we'll get to that. We have a lot to say. Right now, let's go ahead and kick things off with our big stories this morning. Shane Allen has your morning essentials.
Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh back in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee today. He spent much of yesterday answering questions from Democratic senators on guns, abortion, whether or not the president can pardon himself. Republicans do have enough votes to confirm Kavanaugh, but Democrats are fighting the president's pick. Teachers in Tacoma, Washington are on strike today, delaying the start of school. The union and the district could not reach a deal on pay increases, so school has been canceled for today. We're getting an inside look this morning at that jumbo jet that was quarantined at JFK Airport yesterday, courtesy of Vanilla Ice. Yeah, he was on the plane. Today, the CDC is looking into what made nearly 100 people sick on board that plane coming from Dubai. New York health officials believe it was a fast-moving influenza. Breaking overnight, another major fire burning in California. Crews working to contain the Delta fire near Redding. The fires burned 5,000 acres. Evacuations are in place for certain parts of the county, and parts of the interstate are shut down for safety concern. As we go to meteorologist Laura Bannon, I can't believe I'm asking you again. How does the weather look out west for these firefighters?
Isn't this just like the most heartbreaking news to wake up to and to hear about this? But yeah, out across the West Coast, we still have the extremely high fire danger threat. The stronger winds could easily make for a tough day for firefighters. So that's something that we'll have to continue to monitor through the next several days. The other thing that I'm watching is what's left over from Gordon. It's still a tropical depression, and it's still just going to spin away, although it looks like it's going to lose a lot of those tropical characteristics. But we're still talking about areas that's going to be dealing with a ton of rainfall. So heavy rain and flooding is going to be a major concern across portions of the middle Mississippi Valley, as we do have flash flood watches that have been issued for today and through the end of the week and into the start of the weekend. The other thing that I do want to keep a close eye on and bring to your attention, there's been a lot of hype on social media as far as Hurricane Florence. Let's bring you up to speed as far as what we're working with right now. This is now a major hurricane, and it looks like it's going to continue to just chug away and move along to the northwest out into open ocean. So it doesn't look like it's going to impact any land per se in the next several days, but folks on the East Coast will certainly want to be mindful of this forecast as we roll into later on next week. So I'll continue to monitor this situation and bring you updates throughout the rest of the week and into next week. Futurecast is showing that area that's just spinning away as far as dumping all the rain through the middle Mississippi Valley. It's still high and dry out farther to the west. Highs today will be on the toasty side for some, especially off to the north and east. We're still talking about the extreme heat to linger around as temperatures soar back into the middle 90s. Philly today, we're at 93, 95 to Washington. Miami is at 87. Dallas and Houston will see highs in the lower 90s, and then out to the west coast today. Portland will see highs in the middle 80s. Your full local forecast is coming right up.
The failing New York Times has an anonymous editorial. Can you believe it? Anonymous. meaning gutless, a gutless editorial. We're doing a great job.
That was President Trump responding last night to a blistering anonymous New York Times op-ed that is set to be printed tomorrow. It's entitled, "I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration."
It was reportedly written by a senior Trump official and offers an inside look at how people within the government say they're trying to protect the nation from the president. The person writes, "We believe our first duty is to this country, and the president continues to act in a manner that is detrimental to the health of our republic. That is why many Trump appointees have vowed to do what we can to preserve our democratic institutions while thwarting Mr. Trump's more misguided impulses until he is out of office." This person adds, "The root of the problem is the president's immorality. Most are working to insulate their operations from his whims." This morning, the White House is, it appears, in a total meltdown, according to several reports, working to contain any fallout. The op-ed apparently keeping President Trump late into the night, tweeting just before midnight, "I'm joining the swamp, and the swamp is trying to fight back. Don't worry, we will win."
Okay, so meanwhile, a lot of you on social media are trying to figure out, who wrote this op-ed. The biggest theory, with more than 250,000 posts and comments, is that Vice President Mike Pence wrote it. The reason is one word: lodestar, a word Mr. Pence uses a lot.
That's going to continue to be a lodestar.
Jack's lodestar as our lodestar.
Lodestar.
It really was the lodestar.
Well, listen, we're going to talk about this in a second. So dictionary.com says a lodestar is something that serves as a guide, a star that shows the way. Mark Chambers, who describes himself as a conservative libertarian, believes Pence did write the article and, quote, needs to be forced out now. Kathleen tweets, if Pence is the source of this op-ed, he needs to come forward now and testify in front of Congress. But Denise Ingram says perhaps the person who wrote the op-ed intentionally used the word lodestar to put the spotlight on Pence. Perhaps it's someone who hates Pence as much as he hates Trump.
Denise, you may be onto something. In an article earlier this year, Access interviewed leaders about leaking. And one of them said, "To cover my tracks, I usually pay attention to other staffers' idioms and use that in my background quotes."
That's what I would do.
That throws the scent off me.
Come on. Tomorrow's op-ed piles onto the other scathing details in Bob Woodward's book. We told you about this yesterday, Fear, which hits store bookshelves next week. Now, the president this morning is calling on the New York Times to unmask the author of its anonymous opinion piece, something that the Times says it does not plan to do. Because the president using the word treason when it came to the person who came forward in this op-ed piece. But I would say if you were smart, you would not use language that people know that you would use. I would pull out a big old dictionary.
Pence would not be using lodestar.
And I don't think he'd be the one behind it. If he is, this is juicy. But I don't think it's him. I'd pull out a dictionary and start finding words I've never used. Somewhere I throw in the word like
other words for lodestar.
Onomatopoeia. Just because.
If I was going to frame you,
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I'd for sure do, "I've got questions."
Yeah, you'd say, "I've got questions."
Right?
You'd say, "Girl, bye."
Girl, bye. Yes, there's some other Laylas if I were to do an anonymous op-ed.
I got to think about what I'd say. I'll just put your daughter's name in there. Like,
Brighton
Brighton.
is Brighton. I know.
All right, let's go to Shane.
How does one spell ochre?
Okay, you are.
Switching gears here. Plenty of people have threatened to do so, but this morning we're seeing the first lawsuit to come out of Sacha Baron Cohen's new show, Who is America? And it's thanks to Roy Moore, the former U.S. Senate candidate accused of sexual misconduct. Here's a clip of his time with Cohen.
Because neither of us are sex offenders, then it makes absolutely nothing. You just put it on, you put it nearby. Wait, this is obviously a problem. Hold on. It must be faulty.
So Moore is now suing Cohen for defamation over this segment, saying that the comedian duped him into appearing on the show and then falsely portrayed him as a sex offender. Also named to the suit, CBS and Showtime. Moore accuses all three of fraud and intentional infliction of emotional distress. He's asking for $95 million. Now, you'll remember Moore himself made headlines last year after multiple women came forward to accuse him of sexually abusing them while they were teenagers. He has denied any wrongdoing. Layla, Jenny.
All right, we have a look at the weather where you live coming up. Also, Morning Dose, fall is just around the corner, and so is the release of new music. We're having a look at some of the tunes that you may be putting on your playlist. Keep it here.